will be selected from a poll by our beneficiaries. It's time to show the world what you've got. Join the CoRe Fun Ride. Contest ends on the 24th of November 2020. The winner will be announced via our social media handles.
Search inside your core and you see you've got the MasterCard of life in you. And it's so true, it is past due. So don't let nobody deceive you.
What can you do with our funky jingle? Show us what you've got and win amazing prizes from the CoRe program. Record a video of yourself doing something creative with our CoRe jingle. It could be dancing, rapping, singing, anything. And share it with the hashtag CoReWow to make the entry. Videos will be shortlisted and winners will be selected from a poll by our beneficiaries. It's time to show the world what you've got. Join the CoRe Fun Ride. Contest ends on the 24th of November 2020. The winner will be announced via our social media handles.
Search inside your core and you see you've got the MasterCard of life in you. And it's so true, it is past due. So don't let nobody deceive you.
Together, growing together.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the climax of the CoRe E-Lead Conference. The CoRe E-Lead Conference empowers young ladies all over the country to take their rightful positions in life. Today, we are having a thorough conversation about financial independence, right from the starting blocks of financial independence to check out some secret routes and then explore its benefits for our lives. If you know you want to be financially independent, as my guests for today's show are, then stay with me, Comforter Kron, as we explore this route. Today, the CoRe Conference has been put together by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with Solidaridad and the MasterCard Foundation. I will come back after this commercial break to introduce our speaker who will give us our welcome remarks. Don't go anywhere.
Are you a young person dealing with the disruptions caused by COVID-19 to our careers, education, health, and social lives? Welcome to the CoRe program, an e-learning, e-mentoring, and e-counseling program designed to equip you with diverse skills to enable you to thrive now and even beyond this pandemic. We encourage you to download the video, audio, and workbook for each episode for free on the CoRe program website, www.core.com.gh. If you are an MTN user in Ghana, you can download all videos, audios, or workbooks on our website without using your data. It's completely zero rated. And here's the bonus benefit. If you register on the website and go through a minimum of the 20 of the 24 sessions before the end of November, you will qualify for a certificate of completion from the CoRe program. We will be very excited to hear from you. Post your questions and comments on our social media pages at CoRe program or send them to us on the CoRe WhatsApp hotline 0551 535 533. CoRe, learning together, growing together.
Welcome back to the Road to Financial Independence on your CoRe E-Lead Conference. Your CoRe E-Lead Conference is an initiative of the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with Solidaridad and the MasterCard Foundation. You know, this program has a lot of hands working behind the scenes. And today we are privileged to bring to the front Stephanie Donu, who is the head gender and quality management systems of Solidaridad West Africa. As you know, the CoRe program, being an initiative in partnership with them and the MasterCard Foundation, makes us do what we do on a daily basis. As this part comes to an end, I want Stephanie to give us her welcome remarks. Stephanie, are you there?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Stephanie.
So I am so happy to be on this version of the ELEAD conference, and I'm extremely happy to give this remarks on behalf of Susan Yemede, our country representative. So as a pioneer in providing innovative solutions through partnerships, we have worked with young people on sustainable agricultural practices to improve upon their livelihoods under what we call our Next Generation Youth in Cocoa program, and it's also called the MASO program. And this program is also funded by the MasterCard Foundation. MASO seeks to create employment opportunities for young people in Ghana's cocoa sector, and also to encourage them to remain in agriculture. Well, like we all know, the COVID pandemic presented a lot of hardships to everybody, and young people inclusive. So we saw the CoRe program as a good initiative to give people the e-counseling and the e-mentoring, e-counseling, and then the e-learning support they need to be able to overcome the shocks and the stresses that was presented to everybody by the COVID-19 pandemic. So it has been an amazing time working with the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and the MasterCard Foundation to implement this program.
That's Doris.
To, kind of contribute our quota to helping to relieve the stress on young people. So we are very, very happy to partner with this edition of the ELEAD conference. We think that young people need all hands to support them, to create the enabling environment so that they can thrive in the various areas and the various sectors they find themselves in. And the road to financial independence, strengthening people to become financially independent, is one key that we all need. So we are happy to be on board, and I welcome you all to this to today's session, and I hope we all learn and we all develop our financial muscles so that we can excel in every area of our life. So welcome, stay tuned, and then enjoy as we all learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Stephanie is definitely an integral part of this program, and this program has been able to reach at least 2 million beneficiaries, both virtually and some of them in person. We are grateful for the opportunity, and we kindly give Susan our warmest regards. Right, so we are really on the road. And financial independence, sometimes it looks like a very unnervy road, and you're not sure where to start from, where to end. And if today on our ECOR ELEAD conference, we're looking at the road to financial independence, our first foray will look at the concept of what financial literacy even means. When passion leads one to a relentless knowledge-sharing quest to help individuals, families, and corporates achieve their financial and spiritual goals, you have that personified in our next speaker, who is Doris Ahiati. Doris is a lead consultant and senior financial advisor at Crescendo Consult Limited. She is also a John Maxwell Executive Transformation Coach, trainer, and speaker. Doris was a country manager or director for ACCA Global. When she was at DataBank, she was a vice president, and she helped found the group's pension business, which is currently worth over 1 billion Ghana cedis. Therefore, if we say financial literacy 101, she is the best person for us to learn from today. I want you to remember to write down clear notes today as we listen to Doris speak on financial literacy 101. Doris, you are most welcome.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Comfort Okran, for that very kind introduction. Let me quickly add that I'm still learning myself. Because when it comes to financial knowledge, there's really no end to it. And we have to also apprise ourselves to the fact that knowledge is rapidly evolving and changing. And right now it's pegged at something less than 6 months. And so whatever you know in 6 months' time becomes obsolete. And therefore, I cannot help but to be a student as well when it comes to financial literacy. Let me say good morning to all the listeners and a big thank you to Mrs. Comfort Okran and the organizers of eLead, Springboard, and your sponsors. I think it's a very laudable thing that you are doing, transforming lives and giving economic empowerment. And it's interesting to note that what you are doing actually fits into part of the agenda of the G20 and the OECD. The OECD's mandate is to promote policies that will ensure the economic and social welfare of all persons. And so financial literacy fits very well. And when you look at research that has been done by the OECD's International Network on Financial Literacy, and you also follow other financial literacy groups and their works, they indeed highlight the fact that when it comes to financial literacy, all persons need it. However, it's very critical if women in particular have more of financial literacy. And the research also supports the fact that we women actually, when it comes to financial literacy, we lag behind. We don't know as much as the men do. And so on that note, I'll be having a conversation with us around what financial literacy is, the implications, why it's important, especially for the woman. We'll look a bit at our context as well in Ghana, and then we'll look at what kind of knowledge that we should equip ourselves with to help us play a crucial role in the economic settings of any nation. Let me ask this question to our audience out there. Do you know the difference between compound interest and simple interest, for example? When you are investing or when you go to borrow and they slap you with an interest, do you care to find out whether this interest is being computed on a compound basis or if it is being computed on a simple basis? Well, one of the research that was done by the International Network on Financial Literacy, which is an arm under the OECD, discovered that as many as 49% out of 100 are the only subset of women that actually know what compound interest is. So the rest of us don't have a clue what compound interest is. We just think interest is interest. Every interest is interest. And then my second question is, when somebody comes to you to offer a very attractive investment with very high returns, do you understand that the risk associated with this particular investment is equally high? And again, the survey shows that as many as 60% of women did not know that when they buy into very attractive investments because they are wowed by the returns they could potentially make, that they are also signing on to very high risk, which means that potentially they will lose all the investment that they are going to make. So that's my teaser. When you come to our context in Ghana and what money is and our thoughts around, you hear things like sika yemoja, sika wantabai. Sika yemoja literally means that money is blood, so it's the lifeline, since blood is what keeps us alive. And then sika wontaban means that money can fly. Our folklore has stories where Kweku Anansi carries a pot containing all the gold in the world up, shows the selfish attitude. The fact that sometimes when we think about money, we think that I should accumulate all the wealth and leave others behind. So let me quickly come to what financial literacy means at all to start with. And when we talk about financial literacy, we are basically making reference to the skills and the knowledge, competencies that everybody needs to help them make smart decisions. The skills, competencies, knowledge that any person at all needs in order to empower them to make smart, if you like, make it smarter or the smartest decisions when it comes to money, financial resources, and assets, as well as decisions around economic activities and earning power. So that's what financial literacy basically talks about, the knowledge that you have around that helps you to make the smartest of decisions when it comes to allocating or earning money or spending it. And so 5 key areas are highlighted by the United States Treasury Financial Literacy and Education Commission. And the 5 key areas they list are: 1, ability to earn. So when we talk about financial literacy, the 5 building blocks, if you like. Number 1 is earning, how you make the money, your understanding of how to make money, the places where you can make the money from, the multiplicity of sources that you decide to take on, and what will even inspire and motivate you to choose to have multiple income streams. This knowledge forms the first of the 5 blocks of financial literacy. The second block is spending, how you choose to spend the money. And we have people that are oftentimes spending way more than they have the capacity to earn. And so the more financially literate you are, the more you understand how you should spread your spending, how you should allocate it. And so you tend to see that people that are financially literate probably would have a budget that guides their spending. They have an idea of how much they are spending over a particular period. If there's going to be a deficit, or if you like an overspend, they know how to accommodate for that so that they don't end up in distress chasing after people to try to get the food that they will eat for any particular day. The third block is saving. And a question that I would have asked if I asked my third question was whether we know the difference between saving and investing. Interestingly, the 4th block is also investing. So saving basically means your understanding of the fact that the money that you have earned, when you spend, that you don't spend all of it, but you also earmark some to be kept aside. I mean, you are setting it aside to keep it for the future. Savings usually happens with the mainstream commercial banks. You keep your money there and it earns some interest for you. Hopefully, it will be interest that is compounding depending on what savings products that you have accessed. The 4th block, which is investment, also shows your understanding of how you are able to allocate some of the money you have earned towards activities that will generate additional money for you. So that's the basic difference between investment and savings. In investment, wherever you have put the money, that money is working for you. And you may be investing in a financial portfolio like most of us do, so that you don't have to day to day be going about to be monitoring what activity is generating the money for you. So when it comes to investing, we typically invest with the investment banks. And there are other investment vehicles like the government's treasury bills and bonds and notes, which you may be able to buy through sources outside of the mainstream investment banks. The 5th building block of the 4, I've spoken about the first block being earning. The block number 2 is how you spend. Block number 3 is savings. Block number 4 is investing. And I'm coming to the 5th block, which is borrowing. your understanding of the concept of taking loans, the process entailed, the implications, its effect on you. And here I would like to highlight the fact that the borrower is always servant to the lender. You have to keep that in mind, which means that your circumstances and your actions can be constrained by the person that is lending money to you. So when it comes to financial literacy around borrowing, that's one thing you should bear in mind, besides whether the interest at which you are borrowing is simple or compound. Okay. And also the fact that whenever you borrow, you should have a project or something that you are going to put the money in, and that thing, that venture or project should have the capacity to earn you more than the money you borrowed and the interest which you are going to pay on it. Otherwise, it may not be worthwhile to be doing the borrowing at all. While this block has not been added, I want to also add that it's important when it comes to your financial literacy knowledge base that you gain knowledge around protecting all your investments. That's something that we forget. So you should be protecting. As you are taking the decisions, make sure that these decisions protect and safeguard your earning source, safeguards your ability to spend in peace, it safeguards your savings, that your investments are also safeguarded. And I think the latest story that all of us would remember on this side of the continent, those listening from Ghana, will be Men's Gold. Okay. So that said, let me go to the gap. Is there really a gap when it comes to financial literacy between men and women? And I think in my opening comments, I alluded to the fact that the OECD's findings suggest that women tend to have less financial knowledge. Why is this so? To a large extent, we can blame it on how financial knowledge or literacy is also tied to formal education. And so when you look at many setups, cultural, social, and sometimes legal, you find women being relegated to the background. Women were not the first to go to school. So when it comes to education, generally, women are lagging behind, and therefore, naturally, it translates to lagging behind in the financial knowledge as well. Thankfully, a lot has been accomplished with the girl-child education policy that has been promoted in many countries, and so the gap is rapidly closing. Another area that I believe the gap may be coming from is labor force representation, and that's also right on the back of education, that women tend to be required to be the ones to manage the home, take care of children, nurture them, and bring them up. And so the statistics show that there's a 60% female representation in the labor force when you compare to 72%, which means that they are not gainfully employed to earn money, and therefore, by so doing, develop their knowledge when it comes to managing and negotiating for whatever funds will be paid to them. And then when it comes to cultural setup as well, because the woman is supposed to take care of her, most women would not venture to work at all. They may be in part-time jobs. And so we have, the statistics show only 9% of men doing part-time work compared to 25% of women that you find in the labor force doing part-time to accommodate for our unique other responsibilities. And then the almighty pay gap, where women earn 15% less than what men will be earning. Now, couple that with the fact that women have a longer life expectancy than men. And then again, because of other challenges, including social and physiological as they grow, women tend to stay in the labor force for a shorter period. So you are the one going to live for 85 and beyond. And because of childbearing, maternity leaves, and menopause constraints, etc., you end up working actively for 25, 30 years when the male counterpart is able to clock as many as 40 years of work. And so it becomes very crucial with all these unique circumstances that women in particular are equipped with financial knowledge, so they know how to effectively apportion the little money that they are able to earn over their relatively shorter work life so that they can live comfortably. And when we define financial literacy, one key essence of having financial literacy is the fact that it helps you to safeguard your financial well-being for the future as well. It's not only for the now, but for the future. So we are thinking about retirement planning when you are out of the mainstream labor force. What policy interventions do we need to help us bridge the gap that exists? And the OECD is doing its part. G20 is also doing its commitment. I know in Ghana, recently I attended the Ghana Women in Entrepreneurship Forum organized by the NBSSI. So there are interventions abundant in countries to help support women to bridge the gap on the policy side. And so I would say that the interventions mainly should come from policy interventions that helps to boost their education, make it possible for women to be able to access financial literacy. And I'm thinking not only about the classrooms, but also segregating it so that the underprivileged women of certain age groupings, because if we are talking about economically active labor force, that's a subset of all women in general. For those who are already in retirement post-60, a unique intervention has to be packaged for them than those who are now in the schools learning, so we can equip them to align their interests and passions with the professions that they choose to go into so that they can excel and make greater impact and be able to command what they are worth when they get into the job. And then those on the job as well, we're able to equip them with skills, access to formal financial products that they might be able to invest in. That's on the education side. On the employment side as well, I think we can look at some flexibilities that will support women. And so I'm thinking about flexible working hours when it comes to maternity, some flexibility. Some people are advocating for longer than 3 months. And then we want to weigh its economic implications for for-profit venture. And then we can say that you can give people the option to be on leave without pay, etc., so that there's continuity or flexibility. I like to say that when we are pregnant and when we give birth, physically we may have slowed down, but our brains don't slow down at all. And so that confidence should be reposed in us to give us the opportunity to continue to work. And then in the area of entrepreneurship, and that is where the NBSSI's intervention comes handy, because they are providing an avenue where there are master classes so you can acquire knowledge on how to go about organizing your finances or accessing loans. There are loans as well that are specially packaged for these women to support their businesses. And I also want to add that beyond the policy interventions that governments may across the world provide, Mahatma Gandhi says that if you want to change the world, change yourself. And so I want to reflect it back on us ladies, that if you want to change what is going on around in our society, we've spoken about cultural context, pay gaps, etc. You can change yourself, your attitudes, invest time in understanding. You know, the average woman doesn't have access to financial literacy because they are not taking interest in the financial news. They probably think that, oh, some man will learn it, or they feel that if they go aggressively to find financial information and get engaged in activities that will enable them to earn more, that society may frown on it, or they may get labeled. How many wealthy women haven't been labeled ashawo? And ashawo literally means prostitute, that you made your money from sleeping with men, etc. But if we don't let these intimidate us and we build on our emotional intelligence, especially in the area of self-awareness, and so we understand what our strengths and capacities are, our competencies are, and we align them with what we do, we know our value, we have gone ahead to acquire the professional qualifications that we need. And we have built values, habits, and attributes that work well for us. We'll be able to command and negotiate what our value is, so that the pay gap, you would be an exception to it. It is real. There are women out there that are an exception to the wage gap, for example. So I would recommend that we work on ourselves, our financial habits, build character. I have a sister that sometimes I go shopping with her, and when she sees a new shoe that has been released and on the shelf there are different colors, you pick. If it's 5 different colors, you pick all of them. I was privileged when I was growing up at the University of Ghana Business School. The current MD of the Ghana Stock Exchange came there during the career and counseling, and my interest built up there. And following that, I went to the stock exchange to negotiate for a reduction in the professional course, and also to negotiate payments by installment. So I was able to get the professional course even though I didn't have the money, and I used my student loan. So that's just an example when you understand who you are and where you are going. I'm mindful that I'm out of time. I want to quickly conclude with 4 key lessons. And the lesson number 1 is time value of money. The concept of time value of money basically says that $1 today is worth a lot more than $1 tomorrow. And so, ladies, with this understanding, whether you are an employee or whether you are running your own business or whether you are a stay-at-home full-time mom, remember that if somebody promises to make payment to you, it's better that you negotiate to have it paid to you today as opposed to waiting for it to be paid to you tomorrow. Because when it is paid to you tomorrow, you've already lost part of the value in that dollar, even though nominally on the face, it is still the $1 or 1 Ghana cedi that you are getting. The time value concept of money also is the reason why when you don't have to make a payment now, don't keep the money lying idle in your drawer, but put it somewhere, because over time, it can earn some interest for you so that by the time you have to make the payment, you can keep the interest as your reward for being financially literate and smart. The second thing I want to touch on is savings versus investment. That by all means, save in an account with a commercial bank, but as you accumulate it and it gets to a significant amount, put it into some investment with the investment banks, because there you are able to earn much, much better than what the banks are providing you safekeeping, and they share a bit of the profit for you. But in the investment bank, your money is actually in ventures that are generating returns. And so you get rates that you cannot get safely in a commercial bank. Then the next thing I want to share with us is risk return. I alluded to that at the beginning. Whenever you are evaluating an investment option and the return you are going to get is high, remember that the risk involved is high. In investment, you get rewarded for the amount of risk that you take on. And therefore, whenever you are looking on the juicy side, the bright side, which is a high interest or return, remember that it's equally coming with a high probability that you will lose all or a significant part of the money that you are investing. This applies to savings versus investment. And so if you don't have some amount of risk appetite, then don't venture into investment at all. Stay with savings. And the last but one thing is budgeting. If I threw the question out there, how many of you have a budget, and how are you tracking against your budget for November? A lot of us may probably just smile. Let's extend it to how are you tracking against your budget for the year 2020? A new expenditure item came on board, which is the face mask and some sanitizers. But that's no reason for you to be far off with your budget. But that's us. We don't plan. And so I want to encourage us to make sure that we live our lives guided by a budget. And a budget basically has 2 sides. One side that is showing where you are making money from, where you are earning. And I encourage that as much as possible, we try to find multiple streams of earning, things that we can do apart from, even if you are employed, you may be able to do network marketing, you may be able to do blogging, you may be able to do something in addition, teaching on the side, or speaking, writing. that would generate some additional income for you. And then on the other side, which is the expenditure side, you break down all that you are earning from the other side. And very key parts that you should have in your spending side, as I call it in your budget, should be discretionary expenditure and non-discretionary. Discretionary is for those things that you do once in a while, like eating from a restaurant, going to the movies. A little bit of that adds spice to your life, so by all means have that. And then the non-discretionary is your food, your rent, and things that you need them every day to survive as a human being. You should allocate a portion of your budget to that. Then very crucially, some of your funds should be allocated towards savings, towards investment, towards your retirement planning. If you don't own your building, set something aside for future rent payment, or if you are aiming to own or you've bought, it should be mortgage. So shelter over your head should be accommodated for by all means in that budget. And then you should have insurance. The insurance, as well as an emergency fund, is what covers you for those unanticipated incidents that may happen in your life. And this is where I would like to bring the curtains. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the very best in your journey to financial freedom, which rides on the back of financial literacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Whoa. Thank you so much. Doris, that was, I don't know, mega. Oh, thank you. And I'm sure those of you who are listening, who are watching us either via Zoom or by Facebook have also been wowed as well. I was writing out so much, and I was trying to write as fast as she was going, and I don't know whether I was successful or not, but let's see how I got it. Doris started by teasing us to find out that what's the difference between compound and simple interest. Did any of you write it down? If you did, let's see in the chat, whether in your Zoom feed or on your Facebook. What did you write as the difference between the compound interest and simple interest? That was the first thing that this test before the apple. So you must pass that part before we continue today. And her key point was that financial literacy has a limited lifespan. I actually thought it was only the computers, but then Doris has educated us that today it's not just computers that change so fast. The financial literacy also changes, landscape changes just as fast. And she said that financial literacy are skills, knowledge, and competencies that we need to make smart decisions on our money allocation. So we need to look at our earning, we need to look at our spending, we need to look at our saving, we need to look at our investments, and we need to look at our borrowing. Please, I'm giving you that, Paul. Please, take it down. Okay, so it's ideal that you protect your financial decisions. Don't play with them. Additionally, one of the things that she talked about, which helps or which gives an input to policy decisions, is the fact that sometimes we ladies tend to shy away from taking part-time jobs, especially when we have to take a B part in the home full-time. And she said that financial literacy helps safeguard our future and talks about policies that would help women in literacy issues like educating women in financial literacy, employing women, giving them flexible hours at particular spaces of their time, looking at things like entrepreneurship, confidence, and self-awareness to enter male-dominated areas. You know, she continued and she said that one thing that we should look at is that we need to ensure that as we go along on this financial literacy journey, let's not forget that $1 today is worth more, well, a cedi today is worth more than a cedi tomorrow. So if somebody promises you one cedi and says, I'll pay you in next week, I would advise you that if you don't mind, smile beautifully, and say, is it possible to get my dollar, my cedi today? Also, don't keep money idle in your bank account, especially if it's of a considerable amount. Do invest it in some vehicle. Take care that you budget well and ensure that you look at your insurance policies as well, so that you can be on the road to financial independence. I believe you would agree with me that indeed we have started the road, and we know that people are saying here, you know, we are looking at what you people are saying to us today, and on Zoom we have Theophilus. Theophilus, as I have said, I'm giving you a prize. I have said I'm giving you a prize because you are one of our faithful listeners. Even though we say always that the lead is for ladies only, you come day in, day out. And that means that you're finding value in it. And I hope you've been inviting your friends, especially the ladies, to join our conferences so that they can also find value in it. Theophilus is watching from KNUST, and you say you participated in the last masterclass organized by NBSSI on SME digitization, and you learned a lot. I was amazed to see a lot of women entrepreneurs. Fantastic, Theo. Theophilus, that means that in about 10 years' time, I am glad to know who you will be in future, because you are learning from different places and synthesizing all the knowledge that you are learning to improve your life. And then Theophilus also, you added to us and said that 4 key points, and I should have read your notes rather. You said the time value of money, savings versus investment, risk return, I left that one out, and budgeting. Thank you very much, Theophilus. Mary Ann Amedo says that compound interest is earned on principal plus accommodated interest. Is she right, boss? Yes, she said accumulated. Okay, so Marianne, you've got the prize. So please send us your number privately to the Springboard Springboard on Zoom, and you would get 50 CDs for giving us that right answer about what compound interest is. You didn't think you earn anything, would you? So please, I'm giving you 50 CDs. Please invest that. And when in future, let us know how much you earned on that 50 CDs that you earned from E-Lead Conference on today's program on the road to financial independence. Right. So we are boxing on. And you know, having looked at how the road is, having seen the building blocks of financial independence, I know that we are more than able to go on. Our next speaker is looking at strategic look at investments. I mean, you've looked at the road. So are there any hidden paths that we are not aware of? And our next speaker will talk about best practices in this is one who is a transformative leadership coach and strategic business advisor with over 25 years of combined experience in financial and sales management, strategic planning, and thinking. Our next speaker, Ineka Iwobi, is a professionally qualified accountant with an MBA and strong international working experience across 12 countries. Even as we are speaking today, she's joining us live from America. Last time that she was on this program, she was in Kenya. So it tells you who we are dealing with. She is the founder of Inspire Business Solutions, and Ineka sits on boards of several companies. She is, of course, John Maxwell certified coach, and she's passionate about inspiring and empowering those she encounters to become their best selves while leading significant lives. I would encourage you, all of us listening on Zoom as well as on Facebook, do remember to take copious notes. Also, even though you have not asked you, some of you have told us, please tell us where you are joining us from. Ineka will speak to us today on the hidden pathways to investments. Ineka, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Comfort. It's such a delight to be here virtually in this conference. As you can hear me clearly. I think I hear an echo. Thank you so much, Comfort, and the rest of your team for bringing me back again to one of your events. Really appreciate the good work you're doing and the entire Springboard Roadshow Foundation. And hello, everyone. As Comfort said, please let us know where you are listening from. As you said, I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia. It's about 5:30 right here. But you know, it just gets me excited to share some of my experiences and my learnings. Well, experience, good and bad, right? I like to even say the bad ones, and I want to say the learning ones, so that you don't make those mistakes again, and particularly the target audience. I also realize that there are men here, they are over 35, so we are always learning. I also like to say a big thank you to the previous speaker, Doris. She just said the perfect foundation, right foundation for me to build on that. So I'm not going to repeat some of the things that she said, such that we can move quickly so that I can utilize my time well. So I'm going to talk about the hidden pathways to investments. And I really like that title, the hidden, right, pathways. Some of them may be hidden, some may not be. You may even know all that I'm going to talk about, but it's always good to have a reminder. Let me just look at my notes to make sure that everybody can hear me loud and clear. Okay, so let's get started. So Doris had already talked about, savings, investments, and all, but I'm just going to go through my slides. I'm going to set the context and then share from my experiences and then lessons learned in the 15 minutes that I have. Okay. So really, when you talk about really investments, right, it's really about building wealth. You want to build wealth, and it has a wider scope. So it's not just about short term, it's a long-term thinking, and that you're never too young to start. So even 18-year-olds here, 20-year-olds, 30 years, you need to start thinking about that, because you want to build the wealth, you want to be able to have wealth such that you don't necessarily have to be working till you're 60, 70 and do the things that you're supposed to do, right? But then we need money. So really, when we talk about building wealth, it's a process. Doris already talked about wealth protection, which is about risk management. Oftentimes we tend to not think about risk, particularly even those who are perhaps of faith. I'm a woman of faith, and you say, oh no, I'm not going to consider the risk because God is going to protect me and all of that. Yes, that's true, but you also have to be wise. So risk management is very important. Of course, accumulation of your wealth, which is where I'm going to spend quite a bit of time. You're growing your asset base. How do you do that? Even as a 20, 30-year-old, and how can you begin to start thinking about that? Then when you have built that wealth, how do you create income from such asset base? So when we're thinking of now the pathway to hidden investment, that's really thinking about that, right? You're earning an income, you're growing your asset base, and then your wealth is now, you're putting it to work. So you're now creating income from that asset base you start to build. And if you have the right plan and the right perspective, particularly now, that's why this program is so important, the road to financial independence, because it's long-term, from even when you start university and schooling, and thinking about that, such that by the time you're in your 50s and your 60s, you already have your money, your wealth working for you. And then, of course, later is where you're now considering wealth distribution, so post-retirement and succession planning, because you know what, we're all passing through, as you know that. So even just thinking post that. So you start from the beginning, growing income, your income starts to work for you, and then wealth distribution. Okay. So this is a model that I want to spend quite a bit of, not so much time on, and this is how you begin to, the path that you could utilize. It's a model called the Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. If you've not read that book, that's one book. I have a list of few recommended books at the end of my my presentation that you need to read. And even if you've read before, I read this probably maybe 2 decades ago, and I'm going to read that again. So most of you may have a job right now. And the way it talks about you have a job because that's really where you have income. And even if you don't have a job, the first thing to start thinking about is how can you begin to earn income, even if you have a business. And when you look at it, you can move from an employee where you have a job to now self-employed. Some of you may be self-employed. That means you own your job, right? That's where you're getting some kind of income from. It then progresses to a business owner. A business owner, when you own a business, it's actually different from self-employed. Self-employed, maybe you are an artisan, you have a skill, maybe you have, you're doing hair and it's only you, or you write, or just different ways, it's just you. That means that if you don't get your clients, you're not going to earn an income. Just like if you're an employee, if you don't go to work, you don't get any money. But you move to be business owner where you own a system that works for you. And the system includes people, it includes technology, it includes processes, whereby if you are not there, you are still earning some income, right? This is now where you're now getting to building wealth. This is now where you're now having it, because when you invest in something, that means you're expecting some kind of return. And then the last is where you're an investor, where money is really now beginning to work for you. Okay, where you are now investing your money in maybe real estate, in investments, in even closely held businesses, where money must work for you. I'm an investor in some closely held businesses as a business advisor, and I'm getting, I have equity. So people are working and I get returns, for example. Now, the question I've been asked is, for example, if I want to be if I have my career path is to really be, to just progress along my my work, my career, you don't necessarily now have to be self-employed and go through this path. You can actually move from being an employee straight to an investor, whereby you're working, you have a good job, but you're putting money aside in your retirement plan and also looking for real estate. It could be land, properties, and because that begins to generate income. Okay, so putting your wealth to work, and that's creating of income from such asset base, is what you call your passive income. And this is kind of where you should be thinking about, right? How can I generate passive income where my money is now working for you? And there are different ways of doing that, but let's just talk about some. I'm mindful of time. Passive income, this is income earned with little time and maintenance spent in the income generating activity. I mentioned real estate, active income. There's a misconception about passive income, you don't put any effort. But the thing is that you put effort into it at the beginning and then it begins to work for you. Now, an example could be online courses now, whereby you use technology, put all your skill set into some product or some program, and then using technology, it's kind of automated. Okay, we all know the importance of passive income. Some of them is passive freedom of time, career freedom. I'm not going to dwell too much on that. So how are ways, because this is now kind of the pathway to that, how are ways you could do that? One, I'm sure you all know, is real estate. You must take it seriously and don't think, oh, I don't have money, I don't have now. It starts a little. The first is your mindset, thinking, okay, how can I start to begin to think through how I could even start? And it starts with something, keying into something. If you're at work, you could join things together. Of course, equities, where this is now stocks and your shares, and you could have like a mutual fund, right, where you are contributing to a larger pool. You have high yield investments. This is maybe like your land where it's lying fallow. Maybe you have an inheritance or something. Those in the village, or something. You can actually get somebody to start doing some kind of farming or things like that, where you are yielding something. And then, of course, using your skill set, and this is now increasing, where you have a particular skill, your book, and don't think that you are too young. You can put the skill set you have into an online course. You could sing and start producing intellectual property. Asset utilization, okay, the other one is high yield investments where you're earning more. This asset utilization is using unused assets, and assets, obviously, things that will earn you some money. Pensions, if you're working, don't say you don't have enough money. No matter how small you earn, put something, even if it's 5%, 10%, because there's a power in compounding. Okay, I'm not gonna go through this. I will just talk about, let me start from my experience a bit, because of time, because of just learning from experience. So currently I'm in the United States, and I lived here before. I've had multiple careers. So it's important, don't get so fixated in, oh yes, this is only what I do. It's important to consider things. I'm a qualified accountant by profession. And during this COVID, I thought about, I think in March, how can I thrive even in this season? What can I do? And an idea came a few months ago, look at purchasing an accounting practice, because guess what, particularly as the younger ones here, it's becoming a small village. I saw somebody joining in from Lebanon. I'm in America. Don't restrict yourself to just being in Ghana. And that's why the skill set and investing in yourself. If I'm going to say one important thing about hidden pathways, is about your skill set, investing in yourself, learning the newest technology that you like, the newest skill set. So me, an accountant here, fast forward how many years later, I will be purchasing an accounting firm here so that I can get back into the accounting business or America here, but still move back to Africa. There is no limit to what you can do. You can have skill sets here that you can sell in Europe, in America, and all of that. Multiple experiences, as I said. Prioritize your active income. Develop your earnings potential. If you are making equivalent of $50 right now, have a good plan. How can I double? How can I triple? And that is the questions I keep asking myself. And by doing that, you get ideas and you just do it. I didn't have this idea of acquiring a business here in America a couple of months ago. But by asking yourself tough questions, you begin to navigate your way out of that. Be very careful with debt. I've had horrible experience, but it really, well, now looking back, it's really helped me. When I talk about investment, talking about being an accountant, where I almost declared bankruptcy maybe about 15 years ago. With my properties, my investments, I virtually lost everything and I had to start from -0. Why? Because I over-leveraged myself and the economy just went nosedived. Really, it's just because of my faith and my profession as an accountant. I was like, no, I'm still going to keep going. But that does not stop me from rising up again. So be very careful with that. It's good, but know when to stop and that you have enough coverage. This is very critical. Automate your savings and retirement plan. Don't say, oh, I will do that when there's enough money. If you earn income, even if you're a business owner, mandate 10% minimum, for example, particularly the younger ones, even 15%, go straight into a savings account or a retirement account so that you don't have any control over that. And you find out you are still going to be able to utilize the amount left over. So pay yourself, look at it as paying yourself. If you're people of faith, after tithing, the next is to pay yourself through automating. Don't say, oh, I'm going to be writing a check or putting that money. Just have a standing order and that does that. For those who are working, maximize your employer's contributory pension scheme. Make sure you're doing that. Don't cash out on your retirement plans, maybe for an emergency or you're getting married and your savings, you now say, let me go and withdraw it so that I can plan my wedding, for example. Don't do that, just because you find out that it keeps compounding, just as the previous speaker also explained. So these are some of the lessons that I've learned. Invest in real estate for the long haul. Look for ways, stake something in, and because real estate will continue to grow. Start early in that. Avoid selling unless you're investing in something of greater value. And I'm speaking from experience here. I've owned properties, something happens and, I'll say, yeah, you can make it back again. You sell it. And then now looking back, I wish I hadn't sold them because now that would have been huge, even when I had serious challenges. So think of this long-term. Own a business. Even if you're working where you're able to or where your employer permits that. own something, apart from, where you can deduct your expenses and all of that. That is one of the ways of really growing business. And if you remember the quadrant that I showed, looking at ways to own a business where the business is working for you is where you want to get to. It's really what grows wealth. And then last but not the least, have multiple streams of income. Look at ways, it's not just your job, your skill set, your real estate, investment from your pension, income from your pension. Be creative. How can I earn 5 ways? Strategize. There are things, there are opportunities out there so that you have multiple streams of income. You can designate one of the income coming from one to fund your retirement. They're just ways, but think in that way. Another one I'm going to say, think globally. It's a village now, especially even with the post-COVID. Don't restrict yourself to just Ghana. Look at ways where you can extend, offer your skills using different online platforms, Fiverr, Upwork, many things. That's another way of creating multiple streams. Okay, so as I round off, I'm mindful of time. Some of the recommended books, if you've not read this, make it a goal that every quarter, amongst your book reading list, you are reading something about financial independence. Some of the books I will recommend: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. If you've not read that, get that. Think and Grow Rich is one of my favorite books because it's about thinking. How can you do it? Even for those who lost everything, went back again and became very wealthy, like, Dale Carnegie, they're just Rockefellers. How did they do that? Those principles still apply now. The Richest Man in Babylon, that's also a fantastic book. Then some books by Dave Ramsey. The best time, to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So at the end of this conference, ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do? Is it about going to open up a savings account? Is it about automating my savings? Is it about having a goal? Okay, I'm going to put X amount to buy a plot of land in the next 2 years. Have that and begin to look at that. And then for those who may have maybe made mistakes in owning a business, it's not working, or you did some kind of, look, you learn from experience. I'm a witness to that, right? Where I'm in the process of buying a really lucrative business in America, even though I'll be living in Africa, it can be done, right? So don't beat yourself over. You keep learning from your experience, and that's how you continue to thrive. With that, I would like to thank you for giving me this time to share some of my experiences with you. And I look forward to taking some of your questions during the Q&A session. Over to you, Comfort. Thank you.
I mean, Doris started and we thought that we were in the heights, but in Nneka, you've taken it to another level, another notch. Thank you so much. We learned so much, and you starting with Robert Kiyosaki, one of the leading gurus in financial management, was very, very interesting. And the idea that we should look at wealth management as a long-term activity and not something that is just today and gone tomorrow. So we must always prioritize active income. Be careful with debt, and that one I know from personal experience, so I don't need you to tell me twice. We need to be careful with debt. We need to automate our savings and investment retirement plans, maximize our employees' contributions. If we can avoid cashing out our retirement plans, and then invest in real estate for the long haul. Own a business and have multiple streams of income. Our learners I'm a learner. Our learners, as well as those who are viewing us on Facebook, on Zoom, are writing so much as well. Promise is saying that, hi, you watching us from Lebanon. And then Juliet Abwaji, you say you're joining us from Ho. Fred Finn is joining from Accra. Samuel Tetefio, you watching from Accra. And Adjoa joined just after Doris finished, and she said, oh, I missed her presentation. Adjoa, I can assure you, because we are live on Facebook as well, When we go back, you can go through when we finish, it will be posted there. You can listen to it again. That's what I do. After every conference, for my exercise, for my workout, I use that as my workout to listen to what the various speakers said. So thank you so much. I have Helena, who is joining from McCarthy Hill. We have Salamatu, who is joining from Jibril too. And then we have Theophilus has actually calculated the compound interest. Theophilus, I'll give it the price out too. But we'll talk about it later. Shirley is watching from Tema at her workplace. Shirley, if it's possible, let others also join you. If not, let them join. Look at it after the program. Samuel is joining from Lekpe in the Volta region. And Ajua Etuahene is joining from UCC. Idris Mohammed is from Ahafo region. And then James says that today's session is fire. I'm enjoying it. Having a paradigm shift about investment, and that is what we are here for, because we are looking at the road to financial independence. I'm glad you've gotten that financial shift, and we know that in future. And you know, CoRe always trends, and today we are trending on Twitter on number 4. So if you are there and you haven't sent your tweet in, send your tweet so we'll get to number 1. Okay, right now we are trending at number 4. I would encourage you, send your questions and your comments as well to the various feeds that you are watching on. Dalson says that this is really educative. Hashtag CoRe lead. And Abdul Kader is saying that we learn more about financial stability here. Hashtag CoRe lead. Salom says that wealth management is important to everyone. And these, you are all on Twitter. Thank you for getting ahead of the curve on Twitter, and let it flow. We have Theophilus. Theophilus is asking if we can get Mrs. Aneka's slide. We'll find out and then we'll let you know. Theophilus, the thing, we are live, right? And it says that the slides will be available. We will post them on our website. Our website is CoRe, www.core.com.gh. CoRe as in CoRe, core.com.gh, and you'll find it. We'll also post the link in our feed so that you can, when you click it, you would get straight to the slides for Eneka. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eneka, for making your slides available for our listeners. Celestina is joining from Maxima in Kumasi, and Ruby, you say thank you. I'm learning so much, and you are from Takrade. Wow. The thing is lit. The thing is lit. Priscilla says that I'm watching you online and really inspired by your journey. Now that I am more mature and understand life, I want to say thank you to you for all the opportunities. You know, Priscilla is one of my sweethearts, and I really love her too. It's not a one way. We love each other. Right. So we're coming back to the studios, and we have one presentation, or not a presentation, we have a spot of music, and this spot of music is from Akosia Sewa. Akosia played at one of our e-lead conferences, and we are listening to her once again to give ourselves a breather. She's singing about, oh Charlie.
I'm looking to you this time around, yeah. I promise I ain't going back. I know I said it before. I promise I ain't going back. So I'm picking up my manual, going back to the place where you showed me who you are. I'm picking up my manual, to the place where you showed me who you are. You are God in Tisankova, Yentri, Yankova, Nubio, Sankova, Yentri, Yankova, Nubio, Sankova, Yentri, Yankova, Nubio, Sankova, Yentri, Yankova, Nubio, Nasa Wuri Refi, no Sankova, Yentri, Wuri Refi, no Sankova, Yentri, Wuri Refi, no Sankova, Yentri, Wuri Refi, no Sankova, Yentri. Inti Sankova, Yentri, Yankova, Nubio, Sankova, Yentri, Yankova, Nubio, Sankova, Yentri, Yankova, Nubio, Sankova, Yentri, Yankova, Nubio. Right. Okay. Charlotte. Charlotte, my mind, my thoughts, my words, again, it's giving me up again. Charlotte, my mind, my thoughts, my words, again, it's giving me up again. So why can't I deny myself tonight? So why can't I deny myself? Hey, Charlie, we gotta be careful, Charlie. I keep trying, Charlie, keeps pulling me, Charlie. And Charlie, saying I won't do it, Charlie, I won't do it, I don't need it, Charlie. Here asking for forgiveness again. Oh, I, Charlie. Oh, I, Charlie. Oh, I, oh, I. See, we've got the chance to be watchful in the light of the fact that we can change and we would change. Because if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. All things are past, behold, all things are new. Because if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. All things are past, behold, all things are new. Oh, Charlie, we gotta be careful, Charlie. I keep trying, Charlie, keeps pulling me, Charlie. And Charlie, saying I won't do it, Charlie, I won't do it, I don't need it, Charlie. You're asking for forgiveness again. Oh, I, Charlie. Oh, I, Charlie. Oh, I, Charlie. Oh, I, Charlie. Oh, I am me. I am an overcomer. I am me. I ain't never backing down, Charlie. will work till I sweat, till I reach a breakthrough. With God, I can. With God, I can.
I can. That was beautiful. Akosia, thank you so much. Elizabeth says, I'm enjoying the presentations, and Adra says, oh, beautiful melody from the strings of a guitar. Thank you so much. We are going straight up, and we are privileged to know that independent living does not need to be a mirage. It will become our reality. Today, we'll see the vision of that reality by listening to Taka Awuri, who is a leadership trainer, professional coach, facilitator, and organizational development specialist with over 20 years of professionals working experience in the civil, private, and government sectors. She's worked in West, East, and Southern Africa, Europe, and US. Taka Awuri is the CEO of Bushara Africa, a pan-African leadership development firm. You know, she's also she's on the board of the Africa Women's Development Fund. It's one of those funds that I really, really admire because I saw it grow over the years, and is now one of the leading fund givers for women businesses or organizations that are run by women. Ladies and gentlemen, right now I don't have any other choice. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Taka Awuri to talk about independent living.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Comfort Okran. And congratulations to congratulations to Springboard and its sponsors for this really powerful program. And thank you too to some of my previous speakers. Doris is my sister coach, and that was absolutely amazing. Eneka all the way early morning in the US, that was absolutely fantastic. And Akosia, I want to call Akosia Ghana's Tracy Chapman. That level of the depth of her, so absolutely beautiful as well. So I think Doris and Eneka laid out very beautifully and very powerfully, some of the technical aspects around the road to financial independence. But what I have often found is that sometimes you will actually know this technical knowledge, but putting it into practice becomes another challenge. So what I hope to do very quickly this morning to share with the participants on this conference is to share my 5 principles for independent living and really talk about what is the inner work required to play this external game, so that even as you come out of this conference, you may say, okay, I know it, but putting it in practice is something else, to make sure we actually do that. And I would like to start with a story, my personal story. And it took place in 1996. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was sitting in my office in tears. It was a beautiful office, quite a plush office, carpeted office, beautiful windows, lots of light coming in. And it was in the middle of Washington, D.C., midtown, really nice high-rise apartment. And actually, I have to admit, it was a fantastic job as well. I had come out of law school and had landed a dream job by many lawyers. I was working with one of the top US law firms doing oil and gas work. And yet the truth is, I was miserable. I was truly unhappy. My passion and my goal in life for a long time had always been to do human rights work in Africa to make a difference. But here I was in a law firm in the US making oil and gas companies wealthier. And at that moment, on that Sunday afternoon, I got clarity. It was a clarifying moment. I had taken this job because of the money. And this is a conversation about finances and independent living. I had debt, and we've talked about debt. I had debt to pay in terms of my undergraduate loans, my law school loans. I had known that moving back to Africa, earning a local income, you know how it is, earning a local income, then converting that into dollars to then pay debt would have been difficult. So I had taken this job because of the money. But at that point, I got clarity. At that point, my relationship with money changed. At that point, I realized I would no longer serve money. I would work to understand and make money serve me. And that really life was about choices. And that the power of money is about giving me choices. So really, that was my big learning in that moment about how do I make money? How do I make wealth? How do I let my finances bring me more choices? And what I would like to share with the participants today is 5 principles for independent living that have evolved. When I look back, it wasn't that they came. It really came from experience that evolved with time that have enabled me to ensure that money serves me. I don't serve money. So the first one is I really needed to get clear on my values. I needed to be clear on what was important to me, not important to my mother, not important to my father, not important to my little crowd, what was important to me. Because particularly at that moment, everybody was telling me, Taka, you have this absolutely dream job. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many people would be dying for this job that you want to walk away from? So at that moment, I realized it's so important to be clear on what your values are, because there will always be a lot of pressure. And this is what often ties people economically and financially. They're following pressure of others, values of others. So that was the first thing. Get clear on what really matters to you, what gives you joy. And for me, I was clear at that moment that what gave me joy was making a difference on this continent, having an impact, and money was not going to keep me from that. Money should have allowed me, was supposed to enable me to actually live my values. So that was the first principle. The second principle was around beware, as I said, let me call it as a principle, beware of lifestyle inflation and status chasing. As a coach, so often I have found people who are quite unhappy, feel constrained in their life, don't feel independent, feel dependent, and they say, oh, it's because I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to go back to school. I don't have enough money to quit this job. But when we really do the analysis, when we have the deep conversations about what's going on, how they're spending their money, we realize that in many respects, they have spent more time keeping up with the Joneses. In our case, it's with the Appiahs and the Mensahs. Yes. So all of a sudden, if the Appiahs get a certain type of car, then they think, oh, me too, I must get that car. The Mensahs are sending their children to that particular school. Oh, me too, I must send my child to that school. All of a sudden, the Quadrant and so on, they're going to Dubai. Oh, me too, I must also go to Dubai. So some of the key lessons that even sometimes you know that Doris and Ineka were sharing with us about saving, about investment, you know it intellectually. Even those who have literacy, they may know it, but they don't do it because they're so busy chasing status. So that's a key thing I've learned. Very careful of this chasing of status, and also be careful of what I call lifestyle inflation. What do I mean by that? It starts very slowly. So again, I have known many women and men who will say, oh, Tak, I'm really struggling because my job or even my business is not providing sufficient income. So they're in the job, and all of a sudden they get that dream promotion. They get the dream promotion, the salary goes up, and finally all of a sudden they have the income they want. But guess what happens? The inflation, lifestyle inflation, with that income, comes that car. Now all of a sudden they're like, with this car I can't be going to shop at those type places. With this kind of car I must be shopping. I can't do my nails at those. I must go and do my nails at this place. I can't be. Now all of a sudden when I do my nails at this place I can't be doing. So all of a sudden the lifestyle becomes inflated, and those kinds of earnings that we need to put aside, as Doris was recommending, the kinds of investment that Eneka was talking about, we find ourselves constrained. So again, we are unable to put best practice that we know into practice because we're keeping up with our peers and mensas, and our lifestyle keeps creeping. So that's the second principle. Beware of lifestyle inflation and status chasing. The third principle is what I call have your walk-away savings in place. And I won't go much into the savings because, again, I think Doris and Eneka have talked a lot about that. But again, the importance of that, and this is what I have found, that make sure you have enough money to walk away from any situation that's not serving you. Again, I have found too many women who know what is best for them. They know this job is not serving me. Sometimes this marriage is not serving me. This situation is not serving me, but I don't have the financial flexibility or independence to walk away. So that's always been very important to me. Having the savings, as I think Doris talks about the protection, to me it's also about protecting yourself. Having the savings to be able to give you choices to say, this thing is not working in this particular job, I'm being undermined, I'm being mistreated, I'm being devalued. In those instances, having the ability to necessarily walk away. And so often I say financial prosperity is not necessarily about having lots of money. It's about having the freedom to choose situations that honor you. Because I have met a lot of wealthy women and men, but they are not financially free. They're financially constrained. So that's the third. Have walk-away savings and investments in place. The fourth, I think, is what Doris really talked about when she talked about financial literacy. I always say, pay attention to your money. Now, again, many times we know this instinctively, but we don't pay attention to it because often I find people's relationship with money, particularly if they don't have a lot of it, they feel shame. They feel that, they often talk about, and this is something I say, your net worth is not your real value. Your net value is not your true value. But too often we equate our value with how much money we have. So we're like, as for money, I don't want to deal with it because I'm feeling shamed about it. I'm not doing as well. I've made mistakes. So it's really saying, pay attention to your money. Ineka reminded us that we all make mistakes. It's okay if you make mistakes. Pay attention to what you're spending money on. Pay attention to what you're saving. And I think this point has already been made. So that's the fourth one. The fifth one is really about, as much as we're talking about financial independence here, as much as we're talking about wealth and money here, it's a reminder. And I'm going to say something you know, but you constantly need to be reminded, dear sisters. Don't confuse money with happiness. I think the research has shown that above a minimum level, and I'm sure Doris and those who are working in the sector will know what that minimal level is to live a life of dignity, to have shelter, to have those kinds of choices we've talked about. But above a minimal level, I think what the research is showing us is that your happiness doesn't increase significantly. So if that minimal level is whatever, 50 is a Ghanaian CD equivalent of $50,000, for instance, above that level, you find that happiness levels don't change huge amounts. So this is a reminder, is that yes, let's strive to be wealthy. Yes, let's strive to continue on that journey to financial independence. But when you remember that money isn't happiness, you don't wait to have money to be happy.
Thank you.
Start being happy now. And this is a lesson I have learned. Start being happy now on your journey to huge amounts of wealth. Because again, I've seen too many people make this mistake. They continue on that journey to wealth and financial independence on the assumption that there will be some point where they'll get there and they'll be like, now be happy. Girl, it doesn't happen. Start being happy now. As you find those different sources of income, as you invest, as you save, don't wait to be happy at some point. Be happy along that journey. So I will stop there. Thanks again for this opportunity, and I look forward to the questions as they come.
Okay, now we are changing the room. Quick.
Ladies, it's your turn to be wow! Join our CoRe Wow Challenge. All you have to do is to post a video of yourself and share your best experience so far on the eLead conference. And you could be the lucky winner of some amazing prizes. Use the hashtag CoReLead. The video with the highest shares and likes across any social media platforms wins. So what are you waiting for? Share your video now. Deadline for this contest is on the 24th of November 2020. Winner will be announced on our final CoRe eLead conference in November.
It's your favorite Thursday night hangout here, and we want to make it even bigger. Join the CoRe Wow Challenge to win for yourself the Career Starter Pack Kit. Tell us, what is your biggest takeaway from our job readiness series, and you stand a chance of winning a book from Albert and Comfort Okran with other exciting prizes. You will also join them live on the CoRe Hangouts. All you have to do is share, retweet, repost with the hashtag CoRe Hangout across any social media platform. The post with the highest engagement wins. Deadline for this challenge is on the 24th of November 2020. The winner will be announced on our CoRe Hangout Showdown in November. What can you do with our funky jingle? Show us what you've got and win amazing prizes from the CoRe program. Record a video of yourself doing something creative with our CoRe jingle. It could be dancing, rapping, singing, anything. And share it with the hashtag CoReWow to make the entry. Videos will be shortlisted and winners will be selected from a poll by our beneficiaries. It's time to show the world what you've got. Join the CoRe Fun Ride. Contest ends on the 24th of November 2020. The winner will be announced via our social media handles.
Search inside your core and you see you got the MasterCard of life in you. And it's so true, it is past due. So don't let nobody deceive you.
Wonderful, welcome back. I'm sure you were simply blown away. I know I was. I'm still catching my breath. And so as we caught our breath, I looked at the wow challenges and I realized that we are getting them from you, but it's time for you to send us your challenge, because we have the wow challenge, we have the eLead challenge, we have the video challenge as well. So which one would you do? Do yours, and you never know what you would win. And you can see in my hand this beautiful book. This book is a compilation of your stories that you shared with us over the period. And we have 20 stories compiled in here. And we have Muhammad Yusuf saying, COVID-19 took away even the little I was learning. And Samuel Atta, an agribusiness entrepreneur, saying, I'm doing business a new normal way. What are you doing? This is going around the world and it has gone to people already. So who knows? Somebody may be getting his. And we are looking forward to compiling more. It is our dream that at the end of this program, we can compile at least 50 more stories. I hope yours will be one of those stories. Don't leave yours out, because you have to write down what COVID did for you and what CoRe has done for you. Edith from Kampala, Uganda, saying that thank you, Eneka, for that insightful presentation. She has a question for you, which is one of them that we will start with first. She says that how will we tap into opportunities globally? But please hold on, I'll come back to you from there. We have Mensima watching from Adenta. We have Hilda in Kumasi. And she says that I'm really learning. God bless you. Marianne, your money should be on its way to you. And we have Zilla from the Judicial Service Headquarters watching us today. Nathaniel Adi is asking about generating multiple streams of income. We'll work from there. And then he said he enjoyed your quick presentation very much. And Samuel Kofi is saying this program is very insightful and informative. Elizabeth, you say that you are enjoying the presentations. This is Elizabeth Dati and Jigbodi Glofeti saying very educative, very appreciated as well. Ajua, your strings are simply blown away. Lydia Jessie says right, and she says clarity. Clarity is key in connection with yours. And Elizabeth Edwards says, wow, this is awesome. And then Tricia, you say, wow, these are best experiences to motivate. And Edith, you are saying that thanks, Taka. Edith is from Kampala, Uganda. Says, thanks, Taka, for such a brilliant presentation. The principles of independent living are priceless. You know, by the way, Taka, your country mate is, sending you shout outs. You know, Taka lived in Uganda for about 15 years of your life before. Yes. Oh no, you've been living here rather for 15 years.
I'm now Ghanaian.
You're now Ghanaian. Okay. So she's Ghanaian, but she was originally from your end. So we've taken her, grabbed her, and immersed her in Ghana.
Thank you.
So do send us your questions, and we will make sure we'll answer. And so in Aneka, kindly help us. Can you advise us on how we can tap into global opportunities? Aneka?
Yes, you can. One is first identifying your skill set, right? What is it that you do well? And even if you don't do something well, what is it that you like to do? Remember that you are competing with others around the world. One of the websites that I typically use is Fiverr, Fiverr.com. And a way to do, skills of anything, both technical, writing, financials. I'll give an example. One of the companies that I'm an advisor on the board, we're looking to do their financial projection, 5-year, brand new startup company. And I just didn't have the time to help them do that. And I advised him to go to Fiverr. Actually, I went to Fiverr. And immediately we were able to find 4 financial analysts. I'm sure they have their full-time jobs and all that, but they did a fantastic job. So this person had already developed models on Excel, and I think we spent maybe about $150 or $200 for that, right? And this is where you can just put your skill set out there. And the way to do it is actually go, like, if you're looking for something, to see how people are promoting themselves. And African countries, people from African countries are increasing. Another is Upwork. An example now for this, my new company in the States now, I need to get a logo, I need to get a brand manual. I'm going to go to Design 99, I think Designer 99. So if you're a graphics, and put your thing up there. I will go there, people will bid, and whoever around the world will accept, So now I'm not drawing, oh, you must be from this country. No. Who has the best quality work will do the work. So that's how you need to be thinking. All of your skills, and as I said, even if you don't have it now, you can decide, you know what, I want to learn this, and this is going to be a one stream of income I would use. You set up your online payment and do that. And then you begin to develop from there. There are so many, you can just do a Google search, online jobs platforms, or online work. You may say competitors of Fiverr, Fiverr. If you're a designer, competitor of Designer 99, then you get other platforms. There's Upwork. Upwork is there as well. So this is really how I utilize my skills.
We've put the website fiverr.com on the online, so anybody interested, you can look at how people are putting their skills out there and earning funds from it. Additionally, the Upwork is also has been put online as well, so you can take advantage of that as well. Thank you, Eneka. You're always so practical. Taka wants to add something shortly. Taka.
Yes. I think what I would like to add to that, first, I fully agree with Ineka. In fact, I also use Fiverr quite a bit.
Okay.
I find people who are able to provide services on Fiverr. But what I would like to add is that having a full up-to-date profile on LinkedIn is critical.
Okay.
Generally today, particularly if you're looking to offer services for people who don't know you, who are sitting right here in Ghana, but who are sitting elsewhere, one of the first things they will want to know about you is they will Google you. And the first thing that will come up when they Google you is your LinkedIn profile. So right now, people need to go into LinkedIn, make sure your profile is complete. If you're following Ineka's advice, as she said, and offering particular services online, make sure that is captured in that first space where they talk about a summary of who you are. So do leverage LinkedIn, because that's what people who don't know you are going to look at when they want to know, is this a credible person that I can get services from or product from?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Lydia says, very insightful. Thank you to all our listeners, to our speakers. So I have this thing that has been bugging my mind. That we've looked a bit at it, but Doris, I would like you to answer this thing for us, because you've been in investment before. I want to find out, what are some of the best ways that we can get investment to do in Ghana? What kind of best investments are available within okay, maybe yes, available generally.
Thank you very much. The investment opportunities available are categorized according to the tenure, how long you have to part company with your money. And typically, the longer that you are going to part company with the money, the more you are likely to earn. Yeah. So, and then we can also categorize them according to risk. And on the risk side, we usually would try to understand the investor's risk appetite. And so, assuming that you have very low risk appetite, you don't like to go into investments that potentially you could lose your principal, all or some, then you should look at less risky investment. And the less risky investment tend to be shorter term. You don't have to invest for a very long period, because so much can change if it's going to be invested for a longer period. And you should look at investments like the Government of Ghana Treasury Bill. They have the 91-day, they have the 182, so that's 3 months and there's 6 months. And you can also do the 1 year Government of Ghana. Somebody who doesn't have appetite for risk at all, you can do this. And currently the interest rates range somewhere between 14% going all the way up to about 17% if you are doing the Government of Ghana Treasury Bill. Note, however, that if you do the 91-day and you go into investing it at an interest rate of 14%, it doesn't mean you are getting all 14. 14 is for the year. So if you are doing 91 days, the fraction of the year that you are doing, that's what you get out of the 14. And so you see that already there, if you are doing for 1 year, which is longer, you potentially could be getting closer to 17%, which is better than the 14%. And then outside of government, we also have longer term investment for the government. We have the 2-year note, we have 3 year, we have 5 years, we even have 10 years, Government of Ghana. And those are considered risk-free, because whichever government is in power, they'll pay your investment back to you. And then we have cash deposits that you do with the banks. And cash deposits would give you something around 5%, maximum maybe 7%. And they are fixed deposit that you may do for a period of 3 months, very popular. 9 months, 6 months, and then up to 1 year, you may be able to do fixed deposits like that. And you always have the option to roll over these investments if you go into them. They are also relatively less risky, but be careful of the institution with which you are placing the funds. There are more credible institutions with longer history that it may be safer to place your money with as fixed deposit. When you compare the mainstream banks, the regulation and supervision makes them more robust than going to do fixed deposit with, say, a microfinance that just opened next door. You don't know if they have their license in place, etc. And then we have those with higher risk appetite, equities. You can invest in a company that is listed on the stock exchange or a private company that is selling its shares over the counter. You go and say, I want to become a part owner in this business. So they take your money and you own part of the business. At a certain point in time, you can sell your percentage ownership in that business. If it's on the stock exchange, you just, more liquidity, you can easily just go and sell it and get your money back with whatever profit. We say that equity investments are quite risky, or investing in stocks are risky, because the company can collapse. And if the company collapses, you are the last person, after they've paid all debtors and all people with interest in the business, they will come to you to pay. I always share my investment in UT Bank. I was once upon a time a shareholder in UT Bank. And when UT Bank happened, I'm sitting quietly in mine somewhere praying that they won't bring more debt and say shareholders should help clear this outstanding debt. That's so you need to have that much of appetite for risk to do it. And then we also have corporate bonds. If you go to the stock exchange right now on the fixed income market, we have companies like Bayport, Financial Services, Easeway, and the like, who have issued bonds. The same way that government comes to borrow by issuing a bond, some of these companies, they may be blue chip. You have to do your homework, due diligence on the company. They've also borrowed through the issue of bonds, and you can buy into them. And I love to invest in these corporate bonds as well, because they are a little more risky and therefore give you a little more return than you get from the government. But by all means, diversify. Your investment portfolio should have a little bit of government short-term, government long-term, government medium-term. Have something with the banks, have something with the corporate bonds, etc. And then if you have more, you are more adventurous, you can also begin to look at what we call the derivatives, currency trading, and things like that. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, that's a very rounded look at various investment options that we have to be part of. Promise Fiagbeje, who is on page 20 of the core story, says, my story is in that compelling storybook. It is on page 24 and 25. And Promise, yours is one of those that really touched our hearts. Your dream was dashed and resurrected by CoRe. I have Ajari from Accra saying that, Isaac, you're saying that thank you very much. In fact, CoRe programs have really impacted my life in ways of spending. I've stopped spending unnecessarily, and I'm looking at customer relationships, and I'm now working on multiple streams of income. Isaac, this one, dear, you've won yourself 20 CDs. Please do the needful. Send your phone privately to the Springboard number. You get your money from them. Matthew, please make sure everybody gets their money. If you haven't, they'll come and beat you. Thank you very much. Aneka, you are online, and you talked about pursuing an opportunity in the US right now as we are speaking. I just wondered, what made you decide this is going to be a good investment for you? What were some of the key things or key pointers that showed you that indeed this is an investment that is worth your money and time?
Okay, so several things. One was that I looked at what was going on in Africa, right, and the declining value of the foreign exchange, and I just thought to myself, I'm an accountant. How can I use my skills? And I thought about, well, I could start again. I was actually already doing some outsourced work. But then starting from scratch may take a while and all. And I listened on to a gentleman actually in Australia, again, the power of just connecting with other people, because it triggers a thought. And he then said he had bought several companies. And that thought just gave me an idea that, I don't have to start from scratch. Let me consider, right? I want to get back into accounting. I want to offer services, but I don't want to start from scratch. Is there a way? And so by listening to this gentleman who has bought several, like 20-something companies, it expanded my mind. So again, be careful. So I was obviously looking for that. And then from that time, I now said, okay, let me read a book. So I went on Amazon, started looking for books to increase my knowledge that this is actually possible. So just from that thought of, okay, I want to offer more accounting services, but then I knew that I lacked the knowledge. So I started looking for books. Then I got a book called Buy Then Build. It was an acquisition entrepreneur. And that just did it for me. So I went online and started looking for accounting firms, and I'm here. So I would combine, one is the awareness. Don't discount these ideas that may look so big and lofty. The idea has dropped in your spirit, so accept it. The thing then is that, okay, there's a lack in knowledge. You realize that there's a gap in knowledge. Then you start searching for that knowledge, searching for those who have done it, right? Because there's nothing new. So I did that, then that gave me the confidence that I could actually do this. Then I started searching out those who are buying and selling companies. And now yes, I have a business here now.
That is so beautiful. I mean, we're all nodding here in the studio and saying, wow. I mean, and I think you've sowed a seed in us, especially with the Fiverr that you talked about. Those are ways for baby steps. You start with baby steps, and then the more you see the possibilities about global business and making having income from other places in the world, and not just where you are based, the more you can dream about it. So, ladies and gentlemen on the stream, please don't discount yourself and limit yourself only to GH. Or if you're just in Uganda, as our lady in Uganda is, don't limit yourself to Uganda. The world is our stage. Let's look at how we can conquer it. And that is why sometimes I'm so sad about this program, because it is time for us to go away. So Doris, the same way we came in. Doris, can you give us your closing comments and thoughts?
Yes, thank you very much. I'll come back to knowing ourselves. It is important that you know and understand who you are and what you have to offer. Build the character to help you command what is due you as far as your earning powers are concerned. Take interest in financial news. Follow the markets, go after it, it's okay. Build the skills and the competencies that will improve your earning power as well. And by all means, that competency should include financial literacy. And you should also know yourself to the extent that you know what it is that you want. I mentioned emotional intelligence and I mentioned positive intelligence. And an aspect of positive intelligence is what Taka was making reference to. Learning to be in the moment and enjoy it and being happy with it, because life is happening. It's not at the end. So if we're talking about financial independence, don't think that it is a point in the future where you will get to, but understand that it is now. It's important that you know where to charge to get money, because money isn't everything. I teach financial literacy, but I'm also mindful that money isn't everything. So know what to take money for and what to do for fulfillment. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doris. So now we'll go to you, Aneka. Aneka, could you please give us your closing comments? If there's anything you think that we should have added, please let us know.
Okay, so two things. One is around, one thing, but ways to do it. One is about growth, right? So have growth plans. we're getting to the end of the year. Decide that, understand, first of all, be aware of your knowledge gap. I don't have knowledge in financial independence. I want to learn this skill. You are not too old to learn something new, because you can always leapfrog and achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. And two ways I would say that. One is find people that you can learn from. That leapfrogs your growth. So in terms of financial independence, any area, increasing your income, anything, and you don't have to know the person. You don't have to ask the person to be your mentor. Just follow the person closely. There are several people who I call my mentors, but they don't know about me. But I see what they're sharing on their podcasts and all of that, and do that. The second is about reading books, right? So you identify, okay, this is my gap. Have a reading plan. I'm going to read a book a week, right? Bill Gates, who is the wealthiest man, one of the wealthiest men in the world, I believe reads 10 to 20 books in a month. So nothing stops you from saying, I'm going to read a book in a week in a particular area. That is really how you leapfrog your growth. No other way. I'd like to thank you again for the opportunity to be here to share from my experience and also learning from my fellow speakers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. It was a privilege having you on as usual. So we now come to you. Taka, can you please give us your closing comments?
Sure. It's hard to top up what my wonderful speakers have said, but maybe some two takeaways as well. Huh? It's a reminder for our participants to make sure that money serves them, they don't serve money. So keep money in its right place. Mm-hmm. The second then is to really take action. Mm-hmm. I think with many of these programs, you learn amazing things, and this one has been one of those where we've heard from some of the speakers just so much knowledge, but usually that knowledge stays here. So take a baby step. Don't wait, do it today. Take a baby step to put your learning into action. But thank you, it was absolutely wonderful and an honor to join you on this journey in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a privilege to have three wonderful speakers in the studio. What I take away is the fact that financial literacy implies you know what you want to do. But then it also means that you must be comfortable with what you want to achieve with that financial literacy. And most importantly, don't wait to struggle up the hill and reach the top of the hill before saying that I will now enjoy my wealth. Please take your time, look at the view. Look at the roses by the side. Look at the plants. Look at even the butterflies that are around you, and enjoy the hike up the financial road as much as you enjoy the end result when you get there. This has been Comfort Okran, and it has been the CoRe Lead conference. You know, I know that those of you who are doing our e-learning, we are now in week 21, and on this week we are doing Dr. Esi Ansa. She is talking about interviewing skills, the don'ts and do's of interviews and how to prepare for it. Visit our website core.com.gh and find this week's episode as well as other episodes. Tomorrow on the CoRe Hangout, we are having our post-COVID-19 future with someone that I know very much but has so much wisdom that sometimes I just look at him in awe. That is Reverend Albert Okran and Kojo Youngson of the Super Morning Show. He is the host. And we have Koda in the studio. Koda strings such beautiful music that if you don't know and you miss out, please don't, because you will cry. Please call your friend, tell people to join us on the Hangout. Next week, Wednesday, we are doing the CoRe conference. This is for both us, ladies and gentlemen. We knew we had you gentlemen, but we didn't. No problem. We are joining. This time it's official. It's for both of us. We are talking about dreaming it and doing it. Don't miss this unforgettable experience. Papa Yao is hounding me in the back. Do you know why? She says she wants to hear a poem from me today. And therefore, as we go away, I will be privileged to give you one poem that I wrote in the midst of the thick of COVID-19. The title is Escalating the Bloom. Never felt so alone sitting in my room. Never felt so loud in my silence. The night rolled into day, the day ran into nothingness. Many are confused, wondering what's next, wandering in the daze, sauntering in the park, strolling in the bathroom, keeping the soul and body wrapped. When will it end is the cry. Why at this time is the roar. Why can't it go away like a bad dream? We live, yet, for a world that makes no sense. Our fathers say it will pass. Our mothers say the sun will shine again. I'm sitting here in the dark, wondering how the world would be when the sun shines again. And this was on March 26th, 2020. And we know how the world is shining again because now we have CoRe, and it has been a privilege coming your way always on the CoRe E-Lead Conference. Be our guest next time on Thursday, same time at our conference on Wednesday, and then Thursday we'll meet you at 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. God bless you and have a lovely, lovely week.
Back to the basics. I brought one hour down so many times you don't want to even get up and just face it. You've been doing your best, trying to test every nest to find the best one you can lay in. That's why the CoRe project is here to help you gain skills to help you succeed and build your own nest. Springboard you to success. Nana, you go break through. Challenge even COVID can defeat you. Search inside your core and you see you got the MasterCard of life in you. And it's so true, it is past due. So don't let nobody deceive you. Abraboni didn't crack, I say any that's so hot. So this is what you should do. Challenge still move.